I just remember kind of saying, oh, I saw the doctor and he says I'm depressed. And then I called you.
We had a conversation, didn't we? We had a conversation when the doctor gave you that diagnosis. And it came as a surprise because you weren't really somebody that wore your heart on your sleeve. I didn't know what the reasons for the diagnosis were.
I didn't feel like the world was falling apart or anything like that. I just spent increasing amounts of time lost in my head.
It was your way of
surviving.
Coping.
Yeah. It kept me kind of able to get on with life. So I think in terms of feelings, you know, I became increasingly depressed, but I didn't become increasingly aware of how ill I'd got. I was a police officer at the time. So it's quite a stressful job. You know, I remember one conversation I had with you going to a wedding where I was like laughing about one of the things I'd seen at work and you looked absolutely horrified. And I was like, but you know this stuff. I've talked to you about this stuff. And you were like, no, you never talked to me about this stuff. And I think I always thought I'd communicated how I was feeling and what was happening in my head. And clearly I hadn't.
You hadn't communicated it and actually it all built up. And we knew very little. I think one of the things that I've learned is it's much more difficult to understand if there's absolutely no framework and if everything on the surface just looks normal and there's no vocabulary. So you didn't know what you were trying to explain.
I think understanding of mental health problems changes everything, because I think you're right, you didn't have a framework, but then neither did I, and I just kind of was told I was depressed. And actually it was only when it came down to writing my blog that I found I was able to explain to you more of how I was feeling and how I was doing and what was happening in my head. And I think that was quite helpful for me to know that you had a clearer understanding of what I was dealing with, I suppose.
And I think if I'd known now, I might have encouraged more the seeking help.
I think the last few years our relationship has changed a lot in that I now very gladly go and talk to you and tell you how I'm feeling and what's happening.
Yes, and work out together in some ways how the things that you do are then going to impact on your mood.
Family time is more fun.
Easier for everybody.
Easier for everybody.